Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AMS 101. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Yes, fine.
So on the list we have 36, right? And so far we have only 29 students here in the online meeting. So okay, this is the first week, and we will have a kind of orientation for the course, and also tell you something related to Microsoft Teams, because as you know, due to the current situation, we have to implement a full online lecture. Okay, we have no choice. So everything must be done formally through the Microsoft Teams for this course. So let me share the screen. Okay, so can you see my screen right now?
Of course,
Yes,
teacher.
we can.
Yes.
Okay, I am in the
Yes, sir.
our teams. Okay, because you probably have a lot of team, right, for this semester. So our team name AMS 101, the A 1.3, and right in this team we have yes 36 students, and here we also have the head of department, Dr. Chandarat. By the way, this is not only for online platform for the lecture, but it's also for a course management system. In other words, we will have like course material distribution will be done through these teams also, and also the future assignment, quizzes, and also exam we're gonna perform right here. So let me first start to the some function of these teams. So usually I will upload the course materials here. Just go to general and then go to file. Okay, maybe on your perspective, student perspective also look quite similar, right? So you just go to the file. Okay, just go to the general channel and then go to file. And here so far we have only one folder, and it is named class materials. If you click on that, you will see 3 files so far. One of them is the course syllabus. Okay, course syllabus is the information of the course. So let me show you this. So you can download this course syllabus if you wish to, and if you download and then if you open up the file, you will see something like this. So for this table, just give a short description of the course, just like the course title, the course code, the instructor, my email address that you may have want to send something later on, and you can read the description of the course to get a general perspective of the course that what gonna be studied during the whole course. So basically, this is like a combined course of statistics and applied mathematics. That's why we call it AMS, stand for Applied Mathematics and Statistics. So for the first part, from the first week up to the midterm exam period, we're gonna have a statistic part, right? We will be dealing with statistics. That is very basic statistic, and statistic is something that you're gonna need a lot for the your whole program, right? You may need some method that you will learn here to apply in other courses. And right after the midterm exam, hopefully we will have a midterm exam in week 8, and then right from week 9 we will deal with the second part of the course. It is applied mathematics. And basically, we will deal with economics. Okay, I will be teaching you how we can apply mathematical methods to solve problems in economics. Because as you may know that in maybe year 4, I don't know, but there will be two field of study that you may choose, right? Could be international relation or just like international economics. So that will be useful for all the options. And this is the course learning outcome that we will expect it when we successfully complete the course. So if you have time, just spend some time reading this carefully to get a like something that you know in advance that what we're gonna do during the semester for this course. And one important thing, our lecture will be integrated with software, right? Especially for statistics, we cannot apply statistic. We cannot use statistic method or any other thing related to statistics without using softwares. So we're gonna implement or integrate software to the course, but I'm not going to teach you. You are supposed to self-study because the software will be Microsoft Excel. I just show you the basic concept and could give you some sort examples of how to carry out a certain of task for statistics, but eventually you have to know how to solve those problems using software also, right? Because when it comes to when it comes to solve real life problems related to statistics, that will be a huge number of values that we have to deal with, right? So that it is beyond the capacity of a human, right? We cannot deal with a huge number of values. So that is why we need software. And at least even we cannot go into the advanced level of statistical software, at least we know how to use Microsoft Excel. That is sufficient to deal with the basic techniques related to statistics. And sometimes we might also use this particular program. This is actually available online. I will directly you and tell you when it's time, right, to deal with this one. And basically this will be the one that we need for solving apply mathematics, right, the second part of the course. And this is the cost distribution. I mean, how we distribute the topics for each weeks. Okay, so for example, the first week we're gonna have a cost orientation, and that what we are doing right now, and then after the orientation, I will have you to this first chapter. Uh, the first chapter that entitled Introduction to Statistics, right? And you can see this is the contents that we going to cover for the following weeks, right? And here I specify that we're gonna have a midterm exam at the 8th week. And finally, we have a final exam in this. And here I also specify the related textbook that we're gonna use for each week. Basically, we're gonna use two textbooks because we combine statistics and applied mathematics. So there is no textbook that written for both statistics and applied mathematics. That's why I have to refer to two different textbooks. And you don't have to print them out. Just download and just open using, for example, iPad or your laptop, right? This is very convenient, very flexible. And I also put the link. Oh no, yeah, actually it's the link, right? That you may download the two textbooks. But basically, you don't have to do so because as you have seen here, I have already uploaded the two textbooks inside the Microsoft Teams. Okay. So I name it main textbook 1 and main textbook 2. So the first one will be for statistics, and the other is for applied mathematics. And just click on this, it will prompt you to download the file. Okay. And okay, let me show you the cover page of the textbooks. Okay, this is the first textbook, basic business statistics. Since you are social majors student, so I'm trying to use the textbook that is written for social students, social science students. Basically, I have a background in mathematics. I'm a mathematics teacher, but I'm gonna choose the one that is right for you, and I come up with this one, and hopefully you will find this useful during the course. And you can just go around the content, and then this is the brief content. But basically, I mentioned about using statistical software, specifically the Microsoft Excel. But basically, we have a lot of more statistical software, right? Microsoft Excel just we have general purpose of Excel, right? But it also have some part that can be used to solve statistical problems. But basically we have a more advanced software that built specifically for statistics like Minitab, SPSS, or R programming. But we gonna we're not going that far. Just using Excel is enough for us. So you're supposed to self-study, as I mentioned, but that's gonna be okay because for example, if now we are dealing with the chapter 2, that gonna need some thing from Excel, right? You're gonna apply Excel to solve some problem, and the guideline on how to use Excel just available at the end of the chapter, right? There are some guidelines, but since this textbook just published several years ago, the version of the Excel that specify in the textbook may be out of date, or you may have a higher version installed on your computer. So if that does not work for you, you're gonna find other resources or sources to learn Excel, for example, YouTube, right? So no problem, because now you can get everything by just Googling, right? And this is the second textbook. So as clear from the book's title, Math for Economics. So here in this book, you're gonna learn some mathematical method or techniques that can be applied into economics, because we have a lot of problems in economics to be solved by some scientific techniques and basically mathematics. Previously, people think economic just kind of social science major, but now it becomes clearer and clearer that we cannot study economics without mathematics or without science techniques. Maybe you have heard something about Alfred Nobel, right? The one who founded the Nobel Prize Foundation. That who can come up with some achievement or theory that can serve the humankind or be beneficial for humankind, can get a Nobel Prize. But originally there is no Nobel Prize related to economics. But as you may already heard from some media, that we have a lot of people that get Nobel Prize in economics, and most of them just use a mathematic technique to come up with some solution. Can solve complicated problem in economics, and there is some additional section of the Nobel Foundation, which is originally not intended by the Mr. Alfred Nobel, right? So that's why you're gonna use math. So those who plan to choose international economics at year 4, I think never afraid of mathematics, okay? Because you will, if you are knowledge good, have a good knowledge in mathematics, but not general math, but at least some sufficient technique that is where that gonna help you, right, to go through your major, right? And if you have a longer plan, for example, continue master degree abroad, so you cannot avoid mathematics if you choose, for example, MBA, right? Even those who choose IO gonna need some math at least you get some like critical thinking to deal with some like political issue or social issue or something like that, right? So in summary, this is very important. That's why we even you are from DIS, but you still have a major in mathematics to study. Okay, and so the teaching and learning methodology, since it require to have the lecture in English. Okay, last year I teach in Khmer. I taught in Khmer, but this year the head said all the major of year one must must be carried out in English, except Khmer literature or any other thing that require mostly Khmer language. So we change to using to use English as a medium of instruction. And I will upload more course material here too, right? For example, the slide for chapter 1 that we're gonna deal today. And if you want to get to know how I gonna assess the course, this is the information, right? So the assessment will be classified into 5 categories. We have attendance and class participant that correspond to 10% of the final grade. Excuse me. And the second category is assignment, right? We have a 10% for assignment. So again, when it's come to assignment, you can find here, right? Here, okay, it's name assignment. And as I told you, Teams is not for only online meeting platform, but it could be used to do some classroom management, right? So if I click on assignment, I can create, right? I can create assignment. So once we have assignment, I created here, and then you will get notification, right? Or I just inform you in the class in advance, because most of the time I will not have a surprise assignment or quiz. I will let you know in advance, okay? But just inform us, okay? So in case you absent or not in the class, in some case you have to ask your classmates.
Excuse me, Chair. Did you check the attendance yet? I got in a little late.
Not yet. Okay.
No, he hasn't.
And then we have quiz, but basically if we have physical class, we easy to differentiate between assignment and quizzes, right? As now since we switch to a fully online class, assignment and quiz just more or less mean the same. But I'm trying to differentiate between the two categories by give you more times for assignment. For example, I may give you 2 or 3 days to submit back your solution. But the quiz, I'm trying to have a time I'm gonna time that, right? For example, I will give you only 2 hours to complete your solution. And I don't know what you are doing, but make sure that by the due time you have to submit your assignment or quiz, I'm sorry. But by the way, as you can see here, I can create assignment or quiz, but mostly I will name it accordingly, right? And before doing something like this, you have to follow some certain number of instruction. For example, you have to return your solution in PDF file only and name it in a proper way, just like put the file name related in a certain form. Okay, I will specify that later, but just keep in mind that we gonna import some condition. And for lateness, if I said, okay, you have time until 5 p.m. to submit your quiz, and then I said late submission will be not considered. So please observe the time, okay? Because once I create a quiz or assignment in Teams, I can specify the due date, the due time, okay? So if you submit later than the due date or the due time, the system will record how much you late, right? For example, 3 minutes late, okay? So please carefully observe the rule or a guideline. But now we don't have any quiz yet. I don't have to tell you exactly what it will be. And yes, so quiz will be 20%, and most likely make it like a real test. Just like I time it, and I may add some additional time for you to prepare the solution to be submitted, because you're gonna, okay, you have two choices. You may type using Microsoft Word and finally convert into PDF file and submit to me, or you may just have a handwrite, okay, on a paper, and then just get it scanned using some app in your smartphone. Okay, you don't have to use a scanner or printer, but smartphone is good enough. But the thing is that not picture, okay, not picture, but kind of scan, right? I will tell you for detail about this again, but just give you a like some general idea. And okay, for midterm and final exam just correspond to 60%, and for midterm we have 20, and the remaining percentages for final exam. Okay, and this is done for the syllabus. And for the orientation, what else should I mention beforehand? Okay, okay, just to recap, file course material that you can find in this place. And yes, basically you can chat through here too, right? But basically we're gonna use Teams for online meeting, I mean the lecture, and classroom management system that I will create quiz assignment here, and then you have to submit me here, okay, not any other places. But if you want to have instant chat or contact me, the good place, the best place to do so is Telegram, right? And we also have our Telegram group for this class. So in case you have something to inform immediately or urgently, just use Telegram, not this one, right? Even we can chat, but I rarely check the chat in Teams. Okay, and I think it's done for orientation, and we're gonna have a introduction to chapter 1, but I will push forward if you have any question, please. You can speak right away if you wish to, or just chat in this area. Any question? Are you with me or not? No replies. Any comments?
Well, actually, it's okay, teacher. We are with you because the class syllabus are pretty much similar to others too, so we sort of get the idea.
Okay. So you probably have orientation related to teams with other instructor already, right? Okay, so now let's move to the lecture. Okay, so we begin with statistics, as I mentioned in the orientation. So the first chapter is introduction to statistics, right? So we're gonna be follow from the first textbook, right? Business statistics. Yeah. So I want to hear from you if you see the word statistic or statistic. Okay, in Khmer we translate into statistic. What it like? How do you think, or what do you think about statistic? What is the objective of statistic, or what comes to your mind when you hear the word statistic? So I want to hear from some of you.
Probably a huge quantity of something, and they're being calculated and written in other forms such as graph, table.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay. Other guys, please just express your opinion.
When I think of right, I mean you can go, don't worry.
But you can go first.
I mean, when I think of statistic, I think about the increase, decrease, and diagram, and a lot of bar chart or pie chart or something like that, and a lot of numbers.
Okay, good. At least you can mention about bar chart, pie chart, and number. Yeah.
When I heard about the word statistic, what comes to my mind is I can see like a lot of like the data calculated in like in some sort of program, and like it represents on the computer like with numbers, with fluctuations and other things.
Okay. Other guy, want to express your idea? Okay, basically now there are some new major just emerge globally. We have data science, and you may have heard about AI, right? Artificial intelligence, or you may have heard about machine learning, big data, data science. That's gonna be something that related to statistic. But basically, we have like just statistic, but now we're trying to combine statistic with other things. For example, with robot, with autonomous machine or something like that, and then new area just keep emerging. And now we are in industrial revolution 4.0, right? But the what is come in Hindi and they're gonna be need a lot of data to be considered. And when it's come to data, we just think of statistics, right? So return back to the lecture. Statistics. If we think of statistics, we think of data, right? Values, numbers, and from that value should amount of values or numbers, we can summarize or organize those values into, for example, graphs or diagram like bar chart or pie chart, so that you're gonna have a quick insight related to the useful information that embedded in the data, right? Okay, so most of you just come up with what I expected, yeah. And so let's move to the next slide. So this is the objective of why we have to learn statistics. So we're gonna use, we're gonna know how statistics is used in real life, and we're gonna learn basic terms or keywords that use in statistics, and also deal with some types of data. Of course, data is the objective of the statistic. Okay, so you're gonna know how many types of data are there, and lastly, we're gonna learn how to use some statistical softwares like Microsoft Excel or Minitabs that instruction just guideline just available in this textbook. And by the way, you are supposed to self study, right? But I will pick Microsoft Excel, not Minitab, because Minitab is something unfamiliar and you're gonna pay, right? But Excel is not free too, but more likely we have Excel installed in every computer here, right? And you already familiar with how to use Excel at some level. Okay, and why we learn statistics? Okay, most of the time when you read some magazine, newspapers, or watch some report on TV or some article, you're gonna see something related to statistics. So if you know where about statistics, you're gonna have a better sense of what's going on that appear in the those media, right? So you maybe when you read a report that contains some result from statistics, you will like exactly know how to properly interpret them, right? Because not all you read you understand, right? Only you have some basic knowledge related to that, right? So we're gonna have some maybe better sense, okay? And the thing is that statistics just appear everywhere, right? And also we need statistics to make a better decision, especially in business. So for example, you plan to run a business, for example, a restaurant, inside your neighborhood, and then you have to decide on some factors. For example, how big your store should be, what is the price for your food, and what kind of food that you will put in the menu, and a lot of factor, and that just related to decision making. So basically, you cannot do it directly without based on anything, right? You have to based on some data. For example, you may want to know what is the income of the people living in your neighborhood, or you may want to know how many times a person eats outside, right? If all of them just cook themselves, so maybe you cannot have a good profit when you run your restaurant. And that must be based on, to some extent, uh, statistic, right? To make a better decision, right? If you based on nothing, I think most of the time you're gonna come up with a bad future, right? For your business. If you notice, maybe you not yet come to, you know, OUBP or IFL regularly, right? Because of the COVID-19. But if you just notice about the Russian Boulevard, right? The street in front of IFL, we have a lot of store or restaurant that, for example, we have some coffee shop, we have some restaurant, and I just see some, we have new restaurant, and after several months it just went bankrupt, right? New just come and again and again. It's just like they have, just like they just start for a very short of time, and then uh, you know went bankrupt, or because of something they cannot uh, pursue the business. They decide to stop. So I think maybe they do not based on some scientific uh, evidence to do something. That's why they come up with a a bad a result. So you will see that why statistics help us to have a better decision, or likewise maybe a better estimation. For example, the forecaster on TV may inform us that, okay, in 3 days there will be a typhoon, right? And then after 3 days, the typhoon came. Okay, so it's just like they are fortune teller, right? They know something happening in the future, but they are not fortune teller actually. They just based on some data, right? Some history of the history of typhoon or other factors, and based on that, they use those available data to predict what's going to happen in the future. And likewise, if you check your smartphone, and then want to see if it's going to rain at 4 p.m. Now it's what? It just about check for tomorrow, right? Because when I was in Korea, I usually look up my smartphone and check the weather condition one day in advance, so that I have well prepared. For example, if the weather app said it's going to rain tomorrow at 9 a.m., so I have to put one umbrella inside my bag, right? So that we can protect ourselves from the rain. So that, but most of the time I feel that the estimation just very accurate, right? When they said that it will raining tomorrow at 9, when it's 9, it just rain, right? Just like very magic, but somehow we don't know, right? What's going on underneath, but in fact it's just based on statistics. So this should be some motivation that help us to learn statistics, right? Okay, so now let's continue to the next slide. So this is one sentence that could be tell us about statistics, and also the one that describe all of you have expressed a while ago, right? So statistics is a branch of mathematics that transform data into useful information for better decision. Okay, so here you can see the word data here, right? So just like data is the object under consideration, right? So in statistics, you're gonna deal with data, and inside data, there's useful information. But without a proper method or technique, you cannot get those information out, right? So only use statistics that you can extract those useful information, and those information will be used to make a estimation or have you in design on something, right? For example, in business. So we have two branches of statistics. The first is descriptive statistics, okay, and the other is inferential statistics. So it's clear by name because the word descriptive just come from describe, right? So just like any particular type of statistic, we're gonna describe something, right? Describe the data you collected, right? So in the process, in descriptive statistics, you're gonna have data collected and then summarize, present is just like you interpret what you have summarized, right? Just like you come up with chart by pie chart, bar chart, or something like that, and then you just interpret what inside those charts, right? And also make some analysis, okay, so that you're gonna come up with some useful information for the data. Okay, so in short, in descriptive statistics, you want to describe the data that you collected, right? Yes, describe what you collected. And the other branch of statistics is called inferential statistics. So I want to hear from you. What does it mean by inferential? Anyone want to try? Okay, so let me write something. Yeah, basically I could write it. Okay, sometime I need to give you the translation. Okay, descriptive statistic means statistic. Sorry, statistic. Okay, and anyone know about the word inferential? Or at least you can say it. It should be something from the word infer, right? So you want to say something?
So I think that inferential statistic is something that it's the statistic that is based on data to make any predictions on something.
Okay, yeah, that is what infer mean, right? You get something, and based on that you infer. Infer means sonata. Okay, yes. So it could be related to estimation, because you're gonna have a inference on what is like you want to know. So this means stated sonata. So what we're going to do in inferential statistics. So the idea is that, for example, you want to know the information about all the people in Cambodia. For example, how old are they in average, but just like average age, right? So to get the average age, you have to know all the age of each Cambodian people, right? So just like to get the actual the true value of average age of our population, you have to go and ask them one by one, and then to get average, you have to sum up all the values and then divide it by the number of people you ask, and basically 16 millions. And but it seems that impossible, right? Because you have to deal with a lot of people on. Even sometimes you want to do that, but because of time constraint, right, or financial constraint that prevent you from doing that. So you have no choice but just choose a smaller number of people. Instead of 16 million, you may choose only 3,000 people. And the way you choose is kind of a smaller group, right, from the population, from all the people. And then you can compute the average of the guy you ask. I mean, the smaller group, and then you come up with average value, and then use that to infer the average value of the people, right? So just like you're trying to collect, choose a smaller group from a bigger group, and you want to know information about bigger group. So select a smaller group and then analyze the smaller group, and then come up with a conclusion, draw a conclusion for the larger group. Okay, so this is what we do most of the time, right, in real life. For example, you may hear that, okay, the lung cancer, okay, has like a mortality rate of 0.1%. Let's say, I'm sorry, it should be 35%. So this means that anyone who have lung cancer will die, right? 100, every 100 people who has lung cancer will die. 35 people will die, right? Definitely. The other can be cured, or just live with the disease. But how do you know that in general it is 35%? You have to know all the people who has incur lung cancer from the previous time, and also the future, and the one that not yet get lung cancer, because in the future there will more people who will have lung cancer, right? So to get the true average, you have to collect all data and the future data. But why even we cannot have those data? Why we come up with we can see this conclusion, and this is how we interpret, right? So this is just like, it's just based on what has going on, right? What was going so far, right? So this is like one example of inferential statistics. You want to know the general information of a a large group, but you have no choice to access the data in the larger group. So you have to just select a smaller one and do analysis and come up with some conclusion. Okay, so to summarize, because you see here in the descriptive statistics, we're gonna collect, summarize, present, and analyze, right? So to summarize data means you have to create some charts or table, right? So once you get data collected, they're just numbers, a lot of numbers. For example, we carry out national census last year, right? National census. And then we're gonna come up with a huge number value. For example, just say about age, how old people are, right? So it could be a set, a data set of 16 million value, because totally we have 16 million people. So it's just like very tedious, right? You see a lot of numbers and then, oh, what is that? And how are we gonna draw some information from that huge number of values? So the idea, you have to summarize them, right? So summarize in this case means try to do some method which is stated that you will learn, right, in descriptive statistics. And to summarize here means to create some chart, just like what some of you here just mentioned about bar chart, pie chart, or something like that, right? So that process is referred to as summarizing data. And for draw conclusion from a data is the method in inferential statistics, right? So to reach a conclusion, you have to about the larger group, you have to base on data you collect from a smaller one, right? Because you cannot access to the data of the large group you want to know, right? And to make reliable forecast or prediction, just like I explained something related to the rain, the weather, or something like that, right? But that also one method of inferential statistics that we're gonna come up with prediction. But the thing is that the way you select a smaller group is very important, because in some cases the smaller group is not well represented the larger group, right? So we have some technique to select smaller group from big group. We call sampling techniques, but I don't think we're gonna deal with that, because we just intended to have a short introduction to statistics. If you want to learn higher level of statistics, you may, wait until a master degree, or you may learn by yourself. Okay, because now we have a lot of open resources that become available for people around the world, right? But I don't know if you're willing to study. Okay, so in descriptive statistics, so first of all, you collect data, right? Because as stated here, we need collecting. So if you have data collected, for example, one example of how we can collect data is survey, right? You probably familiar with survey, right? People just create a questionnaires, consists of a lot of questions, and then ask you to answer. Okay. But usually when they collect the paper back, that is just like refer us to data collection, right? Because they're gonna have the answer that you answer to each question. That will be data. He or she will collect data from those who are willing to answer the questionnaire. And we have other methods that can get data also, right? Besides survey, we have another thing, but this is just like give you a brief, the general idea first before we directly go to the process. And by the way, in the future, if someone asks you to answer some questionnaire, if you have time or willing to help them, just answer honestly, right? But if you don't want to answer honestly, just do not accept just reject them, right? I don't want to answer your questionnaire right away. But if you accept the questionnaire, please responsibly answer the question, because we don't know if the guy who come up with that questionnaire will use that data to do some analysis related to our society. So if you give them wrong data, that they will come up with a wrong prediction, or analysis, wrong analysis. So maybe that will have a bad effect back to our society. And for present data, we're gonna have some table, and this is the chart or graph that we will create, right? And we're gonna use Microsoft Excel to solve this. And measure data, okay? Measure what? We're gonna measure data. So by measuring data, we're gonna deal with some calculation. So for example, we're gonna compute the mean just mean average. Okay. So you probably familiar with the mean already, right? Just like the average of your score during a semester. Okay. Or the average age of people of all of you here, right? I want to know generally how old are you? So I just pick up a single value to get a general idea of how old are you. So I don't have to ask all of you. I don't want to know how old are you each and every one of you. Just I want to get a measure, which is in this case average, that could be give me some information of how old are you as a whole, right? And another one could be something called standard deviation, and we will deal with this carefully later. But basically, this kind of like measure of variation. Okay, for example, I want to know how old are you. So in average, for example, you are 18, right? In average. So I want, but all of you not gonna have the same age of 18, right? Some are 17, some even 16, I don't know. And some are 19, 20 or something like that. But in average, just 18. But just like there's some differences among all the value, right? Not exactly the same. So we're gonna try to measure how much they are different. Okay, that comes the measure called standard deviation, because we're gonna use this to measure the spread or the difference among the value, right? If standard deviation is 0, that means all people here just age 10 years old, right? They have the same age, means no differences. So that will be indicated by 0 standard deviation. But anyway, we're gonna learn how to perform that. Okay. Yes, I will upload the I will upload the slide, so I don't have to send you the screenshot because I'm going to upload the slide completely, right? Okay, so any questions so far? I'm very tired. Just speak alone, right? And nobody. Compared to the physical class online, I just use much more energy. So please try to speak something so that I can relax.
I don't really have any question, but can I have a suggestion?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that the school asked you to teach us in English, but would it be okay if you teach us in English and also in Khmer? Because I find it hard to understand math in English. It's very difficult.
Because we never have experience with English, learning math and English.
Yes, correct.
Yes, teacher, of course.
I mean, you want me to combine, right? In some case,
Yes,
yes.
that would be helpful.
Yes, teacher, of course.
Particularly when I feel that this is a complicated concept, I gonna translate in, explain you in Khmer. Right? But so far, any problem that you need to know in Khmer, for example?
Not really, teacher. It's okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
No problem. That is what I always do. I'm not good. I'm not love speaking English. Basically, I want to teach in Khmer because speaking English I use more energy than speaking Khmer. Okay, but anyways, it is a requirement of the department. Any of you here foreigner? Because last section, A1.2, there's a Chinese guy, okay, and I just try to speak Khmer for a certain period of time, and then she just, okay, please switch to English. Okay, so I just very shocked that, oh, there's foreigner here. So how about your class? Any foreign students? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's fine. But usually we have Chinese or Korean. Okay, Chinese or Korean. But more likely year 2 or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so yes. So this is the graphics that trying to elaborate the differential statistic, state that sometime. So just like but basically here, okay, estimation. Okay, we're gonna use differential statistic to perform estimation. So estimate population mean weight. Okay, từng ngôn chi mà xung. Okay, từng ngôn mà xung. Using sample mean weight. So usually you see the word population here and the sample. This is technical word in statistics. But anyway, when you see the word population, what does it mean in general to you?
The quantity of the people in one region.
Okay, you mean refer to the people, right?
Of course, teacher.
Number of people.
Actually, just the quantity of something. But basically, yeah, normally we hear of people in common.
Yeah, when we say about population, we mean a group of people in a country or a specific region or some group. But here, population in statistics just refer to something more general. It could be a group of people or items. Okay, so it could be a group of items. But when we say about population, we mean all possible items or individual of interest. Okay, ជាក្រុមមនុស្សឬក៏វត្ថុទាំងអស់ដែលយើងកំពុងចាប់អារម្មណ៍ចង់សិក្សា okay, that just refer to as population. So for example, this group of people just refer to as population. And what you want to know about characteristic of this guy is that, okay, we want to know in average what is their average weight. Okay, but as I explained earlier, that because population is kind of large group, contain a lot of individual items to be deal with, and you have no, sometimes there are some constraint that ban you from approach them all, so you have no choice but just select a number of them, right? Just like a smaller group, and then just compute the mean weight of these fewer people, right? That we call sample, right? And then use that to estimate the general, the same the same quantity, the same information of the population. And another thing is called hypothesis testing. Okay, this is called test សមត្ថកម្ម Okay, សមត្ថកម្មវិញនិយាយពីគណិតវិទ្យាដែលយើងធ្លាប់រៀនពី high school មកសំដៅទៅលើអ្វីដែលគេប្រាប់ឬក៏ជា statement ឬក៏ជា claim មួយសន្មតថាវាពិតណា But general hypothesis mean that just a claim, so that claim could be true or not, right? For example, you claim that the mean weight of this population is 120 pounds. I'm sorry, since this book is written by, published by American journal or American authors, they use the unit used in the US, right? We should say something like 75 kilogram. That it more makes sense to us. So for example, we claim that the population mean weight is 75 kilogram. But basically it's unknown, right? Because you only know the mean weight or the average weight of those population. Only you can approach all of them, ask them one by one what is their weight, and then sum up divided by the number of people. But in general, as I said, it is impossible to do that, and that's why we just like come up with some prediction based on something. And in this case, we call just, you claim that, okay, and then you have to try some way to prove that it is true or acceptable or not, right? That is the reasonable claim or not, right? So this is also another process. And you come up with a claim, which is called hypothesis, and then based on something, you're gonna prove that wrong. You're gonna accept it or just reject it, right? But we will not cover that here in the course. But at least you familiar with something that statistics can do for us in real life. This is very important techniques that have been used in some area. Okay, so now let's go to another parts that related to key terms gonna be used in statistics. So we have variable. Variable mean អថេ So I think when we heard the word tail variable, you will think of x, y, right? Is that correct? But here, the word variable means characteristic of items or individual that you're going to analyze. Okay, so for example, to a people, okay, because it could be characteristic of items or individual. For example, to you, right? You as individuals here, right? So I can say, okay, one characteristic is gender, okay, and age, another characteristic, and height, right, and birthplace, or having one, what can we say, เรียนสลาแต่มุ้ย go เรียนสลาชา that could be characteristic. And what is data? Okay, as we mentioned, data is the objects of statistics that we're gonna deal with, right? Just like statistics transform data into useful information that will be used for better decision. So what is data actually? So data are different value associated with a variable. So this means that data are possible value of a variable. For example, gender, the value could be male or female, right? So for example, if I'm interested in variable gender of you here, right? So far you are, how many of you here? 30, right? 30 students. So I will ask one by one, or not as just see you and then just take note the gender. So it could be male. The first student is male. The second one male. Third female, female, male, and so on, right? So this list of number is actually for data, right? Because that is the possible value of a variable gender. If I come to a different different variable age, for example, so I can ask how old are you, and maybe I come up with the first guy is 17, next one is 18, the other one is 19, 17 again, 18, 17, 16, and maybe one of you is very genius at 10. Okay, so this is just like data again, right? Because this is just like possible value of a variable age. And as you know, not all data are numbers, right? This is numbers, but these are not, right? But at least you know the relationship between variable and data. The variable just kind of characteristic, belongs to group of people or items. And data just kind of possible value of the characteristic variable. Okay. So this is the formal word. Yeah. Population. The population just consists of all items, individual, that we want to draw conclusion, right? And usually population we refer to as large group. In sample, not simple, sample, just a portion of a population selected for analysis. So we refer to that as smaller group, right? So this population not the same meaning as the population we use every day, right? Population we use every day just mainly refer to people, right? But here could be refer to people or items. But the main important thing is that all possible items of individual under our study. And what is parameter? Parameter is a numerical measure,คือchỉ đồngวัดchỉ lệ, okay? Numerical mà biết number, okay? Measure đồngวัดchỉ lệ. Đầm lấy parameter, okay? We call parameter, đầm lấy parameter is kind of numerical value that describe characteristic of a population. For example, let's consider you all here is a former population, right? Now you are 30 again. Yeah. So suppose you are here just like a group of individual under my interest, okay? And then we're trying to come up with one parameter. So again, look at the definition. Parameter is a numerical measureคือวัดที่เลขได้พิจารณาและใน population หมด So characteristic of population is nothing but variable, right? Variable. So let's say age. Age is one characteristic. So let's think of a possible numerical measure related to age. So it could be average age, right? Average age. So this is gonna be, maybe we forget about age as average, okay? Average is kind of numerical measure. If you measure the average of age, that's gonna be average age, right? So average here is okay, a parameter, right? One example of parameter. And anything else related to age that we can measure, for example, the difference among the age, right? So it could be standard deviation that I mentioned a while ago, right? Standard deviation. Okay, so this is another parameter. And about statistics. Okay, this is not the title of our course. Statistic is something else. กำไรสถิติ Okay, statistic is exactly the same as parameter, but it belongs to characteristic of a sample, not population. Right? So it's just like numerical measure related to characteristic of a small group, not a large group, right? So this is the difference between statistic and parameter. Because eventually in inferential statistics, you're gonna use statistics to estimate, parameter, right? Because parameter is easily unknown. So you want to predict or estimate something unknown, which is belongs to population, and that is a parameter, and we're gonna use statistics to estimate or predict, right, the unknown measure. Okay, so I think we should pause for a while for break. So any question come to your mind, just ask me before we break.
Teacher, may I ask you about population a bit? So in here we talk about consists all items and individuals. So we compare it to quantity. How much is it different from each other?
Basically, when you think of population in general word, you just refer to the number or the quantity of people. No, this is not refer to the quantity of item or people, just the people or the item themselves. Okay, refer to the group.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
So for example, I may think of a population of car that is being used in Phnom Penh. Okay, so any car that that is being used in Phnom Penh will be grouped into a population, right? Yeah. Not refer to the number, because the number will be called, for example, the same the population size, right? The number of member inside the group or the population. We will be clear with that terminology and later again. Right? Okay. Any other question? So we have 31. Okay, one more just came. So please observe the rule or the guideline of DIS. I think the class monitor already hand over all of you the rule or guideline, right? That you have to stick to for the whole semester, not only this semester but the whole program. You have to be punctual. Okay, so maybe you feel that okay, I'm safe because the teacher did not ask me to turn on camera. I don't want to do so, and I will not do so. But you have to keep in mind that you must be honest. Okay, if you're really busy or have some urgent business, no problem. You have reason to be. You have reason to be not in the class. But if you have, if it is normal, just try to be punctual, just like in physical class. And I know that. Okay, I know everything about when you join, when you leave, right? Only one thing that I don't know. I don't know what you are doing right now. I don't know if you just log in and then go to sleep. I don't know. But I know exactly when your account joined the team, because eventually I will click on this. I will download the attendance list. Okay, so your account is exactly your name, right? So I can see the track, okay, because team can track your attendance. Okay, this particular guy just joined right at the time, at the starting time, 2 p.m. And after 5 minutes, he or she just leave. And then at the end of the class, come back again. Maybe she thought, or he or she thought, I will call name for attendance check. But I will not do that. I will just download the attendance list, and then I will see the tracking. If I feel that, okay, this guy just trying to fool me by just join for a short period of time and again at the end of the time, okay, I will give absent. Okay, I don't have to notify you. It is my rights. But if you have some real reason, okay, maybe you have internet problem or something like that, just tell me. Okay, I will give you excuse. But I don't want to be strict. I want you to do what you should do, right? Yeah, but based on my experience, no problem for DIS student, and I hope this was also the same thing, right? So some eager to study and interested in the lecture, not just a big can to learn. Okay. Okay, so 20 minutes break. Okay, please come back at 3:56. Okay, enjoy your break.
See you, teacher.
Okay, welcome back everyone. Please raise your hand if you are here. You can click on some icon to raise your hand. This notation, okay, just raise your hand.
Teacher, do we have to use the icon to show that we are here?
No, I just confirm if you are here because I may start alone and
Oh, yes, teacher.
okay, so okay, so hope most of you here now after the a 20-minute break. Okay, so today we just plan the orientation and introduction to statistics. I mean, everything in chapter 1. Basically, there's gonna be some vocabulary of statistics that we're gonna use and some general idea and why statistics is useful in everyday life or in career. Okay, so this is to yes. So we have a population versus a sample, right? So this refer to population, the large group, and sample just like a smaller group. Just we refer to only the red guys. It just but basically to a population you can select several sample, right? This is only one sample, and the way to select sample is based on some criteria, and some sample just very represent the population and some are not, because as you know in inferential statistics we have to carefully select a sample because the analysis related to sample will be used to draw conclusion for population. So we have to make sure that the sample selected is well represent the population. It's just like you want to study about the situation in space with no gravity, right? So maybe you cannot send astronaut directly to the moon or to the space station without training them, right? So usually they're trying to create the same condition as appear in the space without gravity, so that they can train uh, the astronaut in advance before sending them directly to the space. So usually they just like create a smaller room that basically in terms of gravity just more or less the same condition as in the space, right? So likewise, a sample is same thing, just like a small part or a small portion that selected from the sample, and we want the one that well represent the group, okay? Because whatever you carry out, like analysis or some calculation related to sample will be eventually used to uh, uh, estimate about population. We hope that this sample we selected share the same characteristic as the population, right? Otherwise, uh, your conclusion is kind of misleading, right? Is for example, like I want to know the average income, right? average income of Cambodia people, right? But I don't have time to ask them all because there are 16 million people. But I need this information for my own purpose. So maybe I can select a sample, just consider only 3,000 people instead of rather than 16 million. And then this is just very small compared to 16 million, right? So I can deal with this, compute the average of the income. And then I come up with, for example, 5,000 US dollar per year. So this is the income, the annual income based on this sample. And then I say, okay, in general, the income of Cambodian people is 5,000 based on these samples I selected. But it may happen that the actual average income of all the people is just 6,000. Oh, sorry, 1,600 US dollar per year, based on the GDP, right? Yeah. But I come up with 5,000, which is far overshoot the actual number, and this is happened because the way I choose the sample is very bad, right? It's just like the sample is not well represent the population, right? So that is another story. We have some technique of sampling, right? The way to choose the sample so that we come up with a good one, right? Okay. Now let's move to the type of variables. So as you already know that variable is characteristic of population or sample, right? Both population and sample have characteristics, so we're gonna refer to that as variable. Just like I refer to the whole people in Cambodia, so they have characteristic like age, height. But if I just refer to a sample of them, just the 3,000 people I just selected in this situation, so I still have age or height of them, right? So just like variable just appear for both population and sample. And then now we're trying to classify variables. Okay, there are two main types of variable. The first one is called categorical variable, or sometimes we refer to as also qualitative variable. So these two terms just interchangeable. So variable just characteristic, and it has value, right, as data. So how we decide whether it is categorical, when it's called categorical variable if it has value that can be placed into types of category, right? For example, you may think of gender. Okay, so the possible value of gender is male or female. Okay, so male or female just kind of category, right? Not numbers, but category. For example, like a grade. Okay, when you finish grade 12, you will be assigned some grade, right, in your certificate. But unluckily for your generation, I'm sorry if some of you may not just freshly graduate. If you just freshly graduate, you have no grade, right, in this case. But normally we have what is grade A, B, C, D, or F, right? This is the grade is kind of variable, right? And this is a possible values. So A, B, C, D all the way up to F, just kind of category types. So in this case, the grade or gender is called categorical data because their value just kind of types or category. And the other type of variable is numerical variable, or sometimes referred to as quantitative variable. Right? So this is the counterpart of qualitative. So if you refer to, categorical will be versus numerical, and qualitative will versus qualitative will be versus quantitative, right? Qualitative and quantitative. So how a numerical variable different from the categorical one? Again, just based on the values. So any variable that has value represented by number or quantity, okay, will be called numerical variable or quantitative variable. Okay. So for example, you may think of age, right? So age could be 18, 19, 20. Okay, so you see it value just kind of number or quantity. But could be height, right? Could be height. For example, 165 centimeter, 171.25 or something like that. Right? But numerical variable can be further characterized into more two types. It could be either discrete variable or continuous variable. Most of them just numerical ones, but it could be either called discrete or continuous depending on whether its number just resulted from counting process or measuring process. If the value resulted from counting process, we're gonna call discrete variable. If the value just resulted from measuring process, we're gonna call continuous variable. By the way, the word discrete means that, okay? ចានេះប្រែមកថាអថេដាច់ដល់ពេលនេះcontinuous ជាប់អញ្ចឹងអថេជាប់អថេដាច់សំដៅលើអថេទាំងឡាយណាដែលតម្លៃរបស់វាកាត់ឡើងពីដំណើរការរាប់1 2 3 4 5អីយ៉ាងទៅដល់ពេលអថេជាប់គឺជាអថេទាំងឡាយណាដែលតម្លៃរបស់វាកាត់ឡើងពីដំណើរការវាស់វែងជាកម្ពស់សីតុណ្ហភាព okay, so you can see they all represent quantity or number, but gonna be different process, right, between discrete and continuous variables. នេះប្រែមកថាអថេប្រភេទឬមួយក៏អថេគុណភាព okay, qualitative អថេគុណភាពដល់ពេល numerical variable នេះប្រែថាអថេបរិមាណ okay, អថេបរិមាណឬក៏អថេចំនួននេះយ៉ាងទៅប៉ុន្តែជាទូទៅគេប្រើអថេគុណភាពឬក៏អថេប្រភេទហើយនិងអថេបរិមាណ okay. So this is just like diagram that just tell you how we're gonna classify variables. Okay, so basically we classify variable into two types: categorical and numerical. And numerical could be further classified into two more: discrete or continuous. So look at the example, you will be clear, right? So for categorical variable could be marital status. So can you tell me what is the possible value of marital status? Because marital status is like characteristic or variable, right? So it have different values. So what is the possible value? Because you have to consider its value so that you can decide whether they are categorical or numerical variable, right? It depends on their value, whether their value can be placed into category or just represent quantities. Okay, so okay, if you don't want to answer, I just list that down. It could be like single, right? Most of you here just single, and married, yes, or divorce, divorce. But I think the marital status in some countries just contain more. When I apply for a visa to Australia, I see some status like de facto. I'm trying to find the meaning of the word de facto. De facto. So, and the dictionary just has it's kind of to have a partner but do not yet get married. Okay, you may live together but not yet get married. Okay, you cannot, in this case, you cannot choose a single or married. You have to choose a de facto. And how about political party? Oh, but anyway, look, the value just kind of types or placed into category, right? Not number. And we have political party, just like in the US, you're gonna have a Democratic Party, right? Democratic Party. We have Republic Party. We have Green Party. We have Reserve. I don't know, but just list a few of them. And for eye color, also consider as categorical variable because the value of eye color could be black, could be green, right? Blue, I'm sorry, we don't have green eye yet. Okay, we have blue eye, but it's not common in Cambodia, right? Mostly you see people have black eye because of our genetic characteristic, and you will see someone has blue eye in Europe, in Africa, right? Maybe or black, okay, gray or something like that. So in this case, eye color just kind of categorical variable. And have a look at numerical one. Let's start with discrete. So discrete here, for example, number of children. So number of children in a family. So it could be, okay, if you approach families in your residence and then ask them, okay, how many children do you have? Okay, some families just have 0, Again, they don't have kids yet, just some 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, and some even have 12 kids, and 3, 2, something like that. So this is like possible data that you may collect from your resident. And as you can see, the value of this particular variable just kind of number, but it basically come from counting process, because you're gonna count number of children, right? Not measure. And for the defect per hour, imagine you do like we have a manufacturing factory. So you create a plastic bottle, right? And then it's automatic manufacture, but in some case there's some error, right? Because of the machine, right? So defect means error items. And we're trying to count number of defects per hour. So the result could be something 0 means no defect at all. Could be 1, 2, something like that. And it is just like the same case as number of children, right? But have a look at continuous one, for example, weight. So weight, if you focus on weight, it could be 1. Okay, let's say from 0 to 200 centimeters. So the value could be, let's say, okay, your situation could be 165.2, 167, 171.75, and so on, right? So look, this is very different from the previous 2 cases. Just like previous 2 cases, just like counting number, but this is not counting number. It kind of decimal. Okay? Those appear, right? Kind of decimal, because people may have what I'm doing. Okay, I mentioned about weight, height, not weight. I'm sorry. So let's think of height instead. So people may not exactly 165, right? Not exactly 165 centimeters. It's something like it, a little bit like 0.2 or 0.75, right? It depends on how accurate the measuring tool, right, is. So it may happen that it's not exactly whole number or integer. We're កម្ពស់ឬក៏ទម្ងន់ហ្នឹងវាមិនចេញមកលេខគត់មែនវាអាចមានអ្នកខ្លះគាត់មានកម្ពស់ 1.65 ហើយមានថែមបន្តិចទៀតវាមិនគត់ហ្មងអញ្ចឹងសរុបមកគឺ continuous variable ហ្នឹងគឺតម្លៃរបស់វាគឺវាអាចជាទូសភាគដល់ពេល discrete variable គឺតែគត់ទេឬក៏ថារាប់អស់ហើយយើងទៅដល់នេះគឺឲ្យពួកយើងរាប់ចំនួននៅក្នុងចន្លោះពី0ទៅ200រាប់អស់ហើយព្រោះឲ្យរាប់ចំនួនគត់រាប់អស់មិនមានតែបើឲ្យរាប់ចំនួនមានទូសភាគមានអីគឺចេញពី0មកមាន0.និង 0.ណានេះលេខបន្ទាប់វារាប់កើតមានកើតគេមានតម្លៃរបស់ continuous variable ហ្នឹងវាជាតម្លៃនៅក្នុងចន្លោះមួយឬក៏ថាតម្លៃវាកើតឡើងពីការវាស់វែងមិនមែនពីការរាប់ could be body temperature, right? សីតុណ្ហភាពរាងកាយ everyone has their own body temperature, right? For example, if I focus on you, right, as population, and then the characteristic I'm interested in a body temperature, so I may come up with 36.5 36.5, yes. 36.2, someone is 36, someone is 39, and then if you go to somewhere and then there's thermometer says 39.1, you will be suspect to have COVID-19, right? So, but it's just example, yeah. This is the possible number that you may have related to your body temperature. Okay, any questions so far? I think you should be clear with type of variable, right? Because later on from chapter 2, when I refer to some term, for example, variable, data, or discrete variable, or same for population, you should know what exactly they are, right? Because today we're supposed to get to know all those terms, right? That's gonna be used in the course. Any question?
Teacher, do you mind give another example for a categorical variable, because I'm not quite get it yet, I think.
Okay, so for example, categorical, okay, ค่าแปรน okay, ค่าแปรน so let's think of only all the cars that are traveling in used in Cambodia, right? Or in Phnom Penh, actually. So if you think of car brand, this is a variable, and more specifically, it is a categorical variable because it value. Let tell me what is the possible value of car brand that available in Cambodia? It could be. Let mention on the machine. Okay, Toyota. Okay, Mazda.
Lexus.
Nissan, right? And currently we have Tesla. Hopefully we're gonna have Tesla soon. Okay, and a lot, right? Honda also, just like BM, Mercedes, BMW, or a lot of them. But as you can see, the possible value of car brand just kind of type, right? And also another example of categorical variable, for example, you know, national, right? So it could be Chinese, or just say country, okay? Country or province, okay? Province in Cambodia, okay? So it could be Kampong Cham, Phnom Penh, Prey Veng, Siem Reap, okay? That is all possible value of province, and you know, just not number but kind of type or category. So is that clear right now?
Okay, teacher, I get it now. That so categorical variable is, so basically, okay, a category of items, and numerical is more based on numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, teacher, thank you so much.
But it depends on the population under consideration. Like you may think of a population person, you all here, right? That again, I always think of you as a population of my consideration. So for instance, all of you here form a population, let's say, and let's come up with several categorical variables related to you, right? Describe you as a population. So examples of categorical variable could be gender, right? Because if I ask about your gender, it could be male, female, or something like that. Just only categories. And it could be birthplace, right? Whether you was born in Kampong Cham, Praiven, something. And another example of categorical variable could be, you know, what can we say? Right way, yes, okay. Handwrite, hand using, right? Hand using that could be handwrite or left right hand or left hand, right? Or it could be your number of children in your family. It is something also related to you. Oh, sorry, it's gonna be a numerical one. It's just like a lot of characteristic more that we can figure out, right? And now let's consider numerical characteristic or numerical variable that may describe you as a population. That could be your age, your height, okay, age, height, body temperature, weight, blood pressure, right? Blood pressure. Okay, someone raise hand. Any question? Just like intentional or not? Okay, so just like blood pressure, right? When you one more thing about categorical variable that may describe you. Blood type. Okay, can you see that? Blood type. So it could be AB, A, B, or O, right? So we can figure out a lot of characteristics that could be either categorical or later on I will give you one thing to answer, hopefully something that has your understanding of chapter 1. Maybe a survey that contains a lot of questions, and they ask for something, and then I ask you to classify them into what type of variable they are. Okay, and now let's consider about scale. Okay, so now let's just focus on a categorical variable. Okay, if you just focus on categorical variable, there could be two different scales. The first scale is called nominal scale. So by nominal scale, we mean among the possible value of a categorical variable has no rank. Okay, there is no rank among the value of a categorical variable. For example, this could be the name of a categorical variable, right? So just like personal PC ownership. Okay. So if this is one characteristic of you, for example, again as a population. So I just put one, just interested in this characteristic, this variable, PC ownership. So I ask you, okay, do you have a PC? Okay, someone may be yes. Okay, someone may no. Okay, yes, no. And look, the possible value just like yes, a series of yes or no, right? And again, yes or no, just like category, not number. That's why it is a category called a variable, because its value just could be yes or no. But look, can you tell which one comes first and which one comes first among yes or no? Can you rank? Is there any rank in nature by nature? Is there any natural rank? We cannot say whether yes should come first and no should come later, or like yes should go higher level. No rank, right? No natural rank. So in this case, this scale referred to as nominal scale. And likewise, for marital status, it could be married, single, widow, etc. And among of these three values of marital status, we don't have special rank, right? Okay. Just like here, we have a telephone provider in Cambodia, could be Cellcard, Smart, and another provider. So again, you cannot say Cellcard first and next is Smart. No, no natural rank. But for this one, look at another example of categorical variable. So we have student plus destination. So that's gonna refer to the year level of you, right? Your year level of your university's study. So now you are just first year, right? So that's gonna be called freshman. And if you finish your first year, and you're gonna be called a sophomore, and then the third year is gonna be called a junior, and the last year student will be called senior, right? So again, all of them just kind of category, right? It's not number, but unlike before, this one just like have rank associated with them, right? So in this case, senior is the highest, right, in rank, and then comes junior, and then sophomore, and freshman just the lowest level. Okay, so this is the rank, right? And how about product satisfaction? If I ask you if you'd like its cost, okay, someone say okay, satisfied, someone say neutral, someone say I don't like that, okay, it's unsatisfied. But that is not product, right? That's cost satisfaction, for example. So maybe if you're trying to compare among the three, you can give them different rate, right? So just like satisfaction means higher rate, right? You give your satisfaction more, right? Compared to the neutral and just unsatisfied. So in this case, again, we have rank among the three value of satisfaction. And how about faculty rank? Anyone know what does it mean by faculty? Anyone want to say what does it mean faculty?
It's like in a certain university, like Faculty of Human Science or something.
And what does it mean? So you have university, right? So in university you will divide into like different faculty. So in all UBP we have faculty of science, and then faculty of social science and humanity, and faculty of engineering, etc. And in Khmer we call Mahavidyalay. Okay, but when you refer to faculty member, For example, just refer to people who are working in a university, right? សំដៅលើអ្នកដែលធ្វើការនៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យមួយហ្នឹងហៅ faculty member ហើយជាអ្នកបង្រៀនទៀតមានជាបុគ្គលិករដ្ឋបាល okay? So usually you will see faculty member. Okay, can you give me the list of your faculty member? Okay, I want to know some of them, for example. But here faculty rank means the rank of those who teach, right? Usually, if you go to internet and search for faculty rank for university abroad, they classify rank of instructor, lecturer into instructor, okay, instructor, and then assistant professor, and then associate professor, and finally professor. So instructor just like, okay, those who just teach in a university, but គាត់ហៅគ្រូធម្មតា and in order to transit from instructor to assistant professor, you have to you know, qualify, have some qualification, like you have to have hold a PhD degree and publish at least 3 papers in scientific journal, and experience have at least 3 years in teaching, right? That could be the criteria that you can get a higher rank of professorship. And the next level is associate 1. The next level, the highest level is called professor. Satraja, okay? Finally, Satraja, professor. So even now I'm teaching you. I'm, you know, teaching university level, but I'm not yet called a professor, right? Just instructor, because, but even I have a PhD, not yet called assistant professor, because I have to fulfill some criteria, right? For example, I have to teach at least 3 years, but so far I just become teacher here for only 2 years, okay? And then to transit from assistant to associate 1, you have to publish more paper in journal, or just have more experience in teaching, or and finally the professorship, you have to at least 10 years in teaching, right? Now we have this classification of professorship in Cambodia too, but maybe you don't recognize it. And this is for like, but again, just category cut, but in this case you can rank them, right? So if you rank them from the first one, that must be start from instructor, assistant professor, and all the way up to professor, okay? And this is how we rate bond according to the Standard and Poor, right? Those who are interested in finance may be familiar with the word Standard and Poor, with S&P 500 or something like that, right? Something related to stock or bond. Okay? So we're gonna rate bond into different categories, right? So by the way, bond is, you know something about bond? You want to share? So you know bond. Now we have in Cambodia we have CSX, stand for Cambodia Securities Exchange, where you can trade stock of different companies, just like ABA, right? Now ABA just issues stock on in CSA. If you have money and then you trust ABA, you can invest in the ABA stock. Okay, and Syllabus just come out with bond. Okay, if you want to invest, buy some bond, you just approach CSA and then pay, and then you will get bond. But bond and stock just different. They are different. Bond just kind of debt. When you buy a bond of a company, you lend them your money, right? You lend them your money, and then they will give you back kind of interest, right? They give you more, right? At a certain period, they will give you the original principal, including interest. So whatever the performance of the company, they may like lost some money or get higher profits during the year, but they just give you exact the same promise amount if you just buy a bond, right? Just like you lend their money and they promise a fixed interest. But if you buy stock, it's just like you share your you share your future, your destiny with the company, right? It's just like you part of the company, but it could be like small part or something like that. So if you buy a stock or share of a company, if the company perform well and get a big profit in a certain year, you will get more. But if the company get poor in performance or just like get lost due to some reason, you will get less, or sometimes you incur loss like the company, right? Because you share the same thing with the company. So in this case, this is how we can rate the bond, because many companies just issue bond, but maybe you will put or invest your money in the one that has a good credit, right? So this is how the Standard and Poor rate the type of bond for each company. Okay, so a bond could be rated as AAA, AA, triple B, and so on. Right? So AAA means the one that very secure or give you a good interest rate, right? Yes. And D could be something that give you lower interest rate or something like that. Right? Just like we have a lot of banks now in Cambodia, and not all the banks have the same performance, right? So maybe we can have our own rate for each of them, right? And likewise, the student grade could be A, B, C, D, and F, right? So in this case, even this is just a letter or category, but there is natural rank in this, right? So if you get A, mean you have the highest grade, okay? And B comes next, C next, and all the way up to F means you fail, okay? The lowest one. Okay. So to recap what we did today, I have introduced you basic keywords that and definition that we're gonna use in statistics, and also examine the use of statistics, like we're gonna collect data, summarize, draw conclusion, make forecasts, or kind of estimate, right? And I also explain you the difference between descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. And I also review very detailed about type of diagram, right? That we're gonna have in the future. Okay, so this is done for today. This is what I planned and hope. Okay, it's not bad. Oh, almost die my computer. So question or comment if you have. Any question?
No, teacher, I've asked along the way already.
How about the other? I only use Kim saying, right? Yes, he asked a lot of questions and I really like student asking questions. If nobody asks me, I feel that I just, speak alone and it's just like a stupid person. And by the way, it's very. Any question from other guy? Because
Can you hear me?
yes.
So about statistic, the characteristic is like the age, 18 or 19 or something, right? And numerical measure mean like the amount of people that is 18 and the number of people that is 19, something like that.
Characteristic mean age. Okay. What could be the characteristic of a group of people? Okay, could be age. Okay, and
So statistic is the group of people that is 18 or group of people that is 19.
no, usually population we refer to group of people or item. But let's say, okay, people who are living in Cambodia. Oh no, just students who are year one in DIS. Okay, so I don't care about other students from other department or other university in Cambodia. I just interested in student who is year one, who are year one in DIS. So that could be considered as a population because under my consideration, that is what I want to know, right? And then when you decide on population, there could be some characteristic that you want to analyze. For example, age. Okay, how old they are. Okay, that's gonna be characteristic. One characteristic. So another characteristic could be their gender, right? And for each characteristic that we call variable could have various values or different values. For example, if you think of age, so year one student in DIS could be like 18, 17, 16, 19 or something like that, right? That is the possible value. So I don't know if you catch up well with the concept that we have discussed so far. Okay? You have to define them carefully, right? Because later on, I will test your comprehension by just like give you, I will call that assignment or I don't know, but if you to test if you really understand what I have discussed so far. Okay, it seems that your question is not clear, but I know, just I want to explain again what should be related to your question. Okay, so any other question or not yet clear, please?
I have a question about statistic. I mean, there are two types of statistic. There's descriptive statistic and the inferential statistic. I just wonder if they are, I mean, both of them related to each other. Like, do we have to, I mean, if we happen to do the exercise, do we have to start with the descriptive statistic first and then go into inferential, or it's just different method?
Descriptive one, you collect data, you want just to describe what you collected. For example, I want to know how all of you here, about the grade you got. For example, you come up with a GPA, right? So I want to see your performance. So I just collect how much you get. Or I also want to know the distribution of the gender among of you. How many are male and how many are female. Then I will come up with, okay, 60% are male and 40% are female. So this means that this conclusion just like describe all of you here, right? So that's gonna be descriptive statistics. I just collect, then describe what I collected. But for inferential, you want to know something bigger. You want to know something about bigger group, large group. For example, you may interested in the GDP, or no, just the average grade of TOEFL, okay, for Cambodia. You want to know what is the average grade people gonna have when they try a test. So that's gonna be the information, the average grade for anyone who take TOEFL, right? But I don't think you can get exact value of the average score, right? Because you have to wait until all people take the test. But who knows, in the future, more students, more people will take the test. But you want to know now, right? At least, like, what should be the average grade that we're gonna have when we take a test. So in this case, we're gonna apply inferential statistics. You have to observe those who took tests so far up to now. Okay, suppose that the previous 10 years. Okay, the previous 10 years, and then get the information each of them got, right? And then do the average, and then you come up with a value. So that's gonna be the information of the sample you collected, because you cannot approach a population. And then you use that information. Okay, for example, if you come up with the previous 10 years, people get an average, let's say about the IBT test, 75 points. Okay, 75 points. So maybe in this case, you can, okay, state in general or draw a conclusion that, okay, in Cambodia, in average, people get 75 points on a TOEFL test. Okay, but basically that's just a predict value or an estimated value, because you never know the true value, right? You can only know if wait until all the people who want to take the test, but that's gonna be not happen, because every year people will do the test, right? but at least you want to know when you join your test, what should be the average value. So can you now differentiate between the two types of statistics?
Yes, teacher, but I just want to know that it's like, I mean, for the inferential statistic, we can also use the data or information that we collect and summarize from descriptive statistic tool, right?
Yes, basically you perform exactly the same thing in descriptive statistic, but the conclusion is not about the one you collected. That will be a larger data, right? Related to a larger data.
Thank you, teacher.
Any other question? Okay, since I have one more student to ask. Okay, so I just download attendance list. I don't have to call your name because and eventually I will check who joined or who didn't. Okay, so thank you for your attention and hope you feel something about the course. Okay, because from next week we're gonna deal with something more advanced, and basically you have to use Microsoft Excel. Okay, so again, we're done and see you again next week. Have a nice day.
Thank you, teacher.
Goodbye, teacher. Have a nice
Goodbye,
day.
teacher.
Bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.